Where my hair is getting quite long and it's starting to form a shape of like mushroom because I need to cut it. Hopefully I'll be able to cut it soon when I go home. I guess this is just another week in my life. It's the technically I think last full week that I'm in this room, in this house, as we are going to be moving out soon. I haven't really taken the time to edit the videos that I've been making, like the clips of what I've been doing so far since coming back from Malaysia. I still haven't gotten to edit that because I'm quite behind on that stuff because we have been kind of packing, moving, and I've also been doing things in the meantime. But I just wanted to do a little bit of a catch up before I go. I don't have too much time because I'm going to a lace workshop. It's actually my first workshop since being back, and I'm really excited. I hope I get to do something new. Of course, like I will film the process as much as I can. It's always at the same place, but it's in the afternoon this time. I think the teacher who does the workshops, she changed the times to afternoon so that more people could come after work, because it used to be way earlier in the afternoon, but I don't think many people could come because people are usually at work. I mean, it's Wednesday, so it kind of makes sense. But I've been mainly just packing up this room. I know it looks like I haven't because the background hasn't really changed, but I have taken off pretty much all the things off the shelves. I've packed up all of the drawers. Like my whole desk is almost empty, and I've just been organizing. I went to a sewing workshop yesterday, which was basically just like teaching about how to use the sewing machine, how to change the foot, how to work with the wheel, and all of that stuff. So yeah, we kind of got taught how to just practice straight lines. Like I have this like little piece of material that we got given, just practicing straight lines or zigzag lines, curves and back stitches and zigzag stitches as well. And that was really fun. And then we moved on to something a bit harder in my opinion, but it's like those like little squiggly lines. I don't know what you could call them. And then in the end we ended up making this like little pouch thing. It's like a kind of just like a cloth made out of this like these like little squares, and we got taught how to use the iron and things like that. And yeah, it was really cool. I really liked it, and I just wanted to do it because I haven't touched a sewing machine in so long, and I feel like I think I've spoken about this actually, I might have, but I wanted to kind of revisit the knowledge that I had about sewing and do some projects sewing. I don't know, I might do like a separate video on that, I might not, I might just add it into like a vlog at some point, but I definitely want to repurpose some of the clothes that I have and just make something out of it, because I feel like sewing for me, it's just one of those like skills that it's nice to have, but also just having that sense of accomplishment that you get after you finish a piece. Like even though this is like nothing, like I feel really accomplished after doing it, you know. It's just like a nice thing, and even if it's not like something that I'll potentially use, like it's still nice, and I can always just go back and repurpose the fabric, which is nice. Like that's something nice about textiles and just making clothes and making things out of fabric in general on the sewing machine, is that you can always just repurpose the fabric if it doesn't work. Like it's fine, it's just nice. And I feel like being on the sewing machine can be really relaxing, and like yes, it can be stressful, but like for me, as someone who just does it as a hobby, it just feels, just like a hobby. Like it just feels nice to sit down and make something by hand and then have something physical right afterwards. Because sometimes I feel like when I make drawings, like on my iPad, or I make designs or something like that, it can feel a little bit like, okay, I'm done with that, moving on to the next. And I'm always thinking about, oh, I can make this into a product, or how can I make this design better, and things like that. And I'm always a bit more perfectionist whereas like with textiles and with sewing, I find myself to just be gravitating towards, like, if it's messy, it's messy. Like, I don't really care as much, and I guess it takes the pressure off of me a little bit, and I probably should be doing that with art as well, but then it discourages me, which is like, I guess, a bit contradicting, but it discourages me from doing it. But I just wanted to get more into textiles, so I took a class and it was really good. And I really like the place that I go to in my town, because they have got really like accessible materials there, and threads, and all the machines, and it's just a very accessible price, so it's nice. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about that and move on. Right, the main thing that I want to talk about actually when I sat down was this book. I finished reading A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the ACOTAR series, and I finished it last night. It looks kind of like a thick book, but I have a few opinions about it. I picked this book up late August because I wanted to read a different book, Threads That Bind, but then I kind of got into a reading slump and didn't read at all. So then I picked up the audio version of this book on my Spotify and I started reading it, and then I really got into it, and I got the physical book itself, and I continued reading like physically. Well, a little bit of both, a bit of like audio and physical reading, but I found that like this book was so good. Like, I would rate it a 5 out of 5. I think I reviewed the first book ages ago. Like, I read the first book of this series back in like January or February, I think. And I rated it a 4 stars, I think, back then. But I didn't continue it because I had other books that I wanted to read. But this time around, I'm picking it back up because I realised that when I picked it up, I kind of forgot a little bit what happened in the first book, so I had to go revisit. I thought, actually, I think I'm going to just continue until I finish this series off, and this might be the only series that I read for the rest of the year, like the books, just because it takes me a while to read in general, with all the other things going on, but I still want to continue reading because I do really love it, and this series is really good. So I feel like in this book, which doesn't happen often, like when I read series, like I think the only series that I would say that a lot of people say, oh, the second book is better than the first, is Twilight. Sadly, like I really enjoyed the second book. Obviously not as much as the first one, but it was still like equally as good, and that doesn't usually happen to me. Like I feel like whenever I start reading a series, I read the first book, it's really good, and then I get onto the second one and I just like it a little bit less for some reason, and then that stops me from continuing on the series, and then it takes me just ages to finish it off. Whereas like I feel like this book, which is the second book, I would argue is like almost better than the first one. I don't know, there's just a lot more to digest, I guess. Like there's just a lot more lore that's been dropped in this book, and I really loved the pacing of it. There was chapters where things were going, like it was just kind of, the pace was really good. It was definitely like a page turner for me. Some chapters were like a bit more calmer. There was like things going on between the characters instead of like action based. It was just a good balance of everything. I feel like we got to see a darker side of Feyre, which is nice. Obviously she's not human anymore. Also, like, sorry for spoilers, but she's obviously not human anymore in this second book, which is really good, like, which is really nice, and we get to see a different side of her, which is really cool. And also I did feel like it was a little bit predictable. This is obviously like a fantasy I feel like this is a very good fantasy series to start off with when reading fantasy books, which is good because I am only just getting into fantasy, and I found it a little bit predictable, but there were some things that I didn't predict, and there was just a really nice plot twist at the end, which was nice, and I really like how this book ended. I was a little bit disappointed, I think, with the first ending of the book. I don't know why, but yeah. But this one was really good. I really liked it, and spoiler alert, I'm just looking forward to the next book, seeing how like Feyre decides to navigate this like spy aspect that she's doing, which I think is really smart on her part. But I mean, I would like to see more of other people's POVs, so I'm hoping that happens. But obviously Feyre is the main character in this series, so obviously I do want to still see a lot of her POV, but it would be nice to see other people's POVs, like definitely Rhysand and maybe Tamlin as well. I would really like for Feyre's sisters to also have a POV. It would be nice to see just their perspective on the situation, especially at the end of this book, where we find out that Feyre's sister just turned like into a fairy as well. Her younger sister, I think it's her younger sister, Elaine. Yeah. So she also turned into a fairy, and then we get to see like, oh, she's like Lucian's mate or something like that. And I would really like for that to be explored. That'd be really cool and nice to see, especially because like I do like Lucian's character, even though I feel like he doesn't get to show, we don't get too much of his character development or anything like that. Maybe it's actually like it's a bit backtracked, I feel like, in this book, especially when he's just kind of following orders that Tamlin gives him, and he's not really giving his own opinion on situations. He's just kind of like straight on following what's been told for him to do. And yeah, I feel like it'd be nice to have his POV, and because I feel like it's not quite explained. I feel like Lucian wants to do sometimes, he wants to go against Tamlin's decisions and Tamlin's orders, I think, most of the time. But I think there's something else at play that doesn't let him do that. Not just because of the power aspect and the High Lord aspect, but anyway, yeah, that was just my opinion on the book, and I think it's really good. And I'm excited to pick up the next one. I'm thinking I might pick up the next one physically, maybe today if I find like a good deal. I'm trying to save money, and obviously we're moving soon, so I don't want to buy more stuff to carry. But yeah, I think that's all for now. That's all I wanted to say, and yeah, let's go do some nice. Bye.